In November 2022, FTX collapsed, and somewhere between $8 and $10 billion were suddenly missing. Not lost in a normal market crash, not stolen by masked guys in the night, but money that was supposed to be sitting safely in customer accounts, and just wasn't there anymore. That wasn't crypto money, that was rent money, grocery money, college money, retirement money, the kind of money that changes the mood at the dinner table. In Texas, a guy opened his phone, saw his balance, and hit withdraw. The number stayed, but the button didn't work. That's a strange feeling. When your money looks alive but acts dead. In Ohio, a mom kept refreshing her app, telling herself it was probably just bad Wi-Fi. It wasn't. This wasn't a robbery. Nobody broke in. Nobody pointed a gun. It was quieter than that, smoother than that. It was a lie that looked safe. And that's the scary part, because nobody runs from something that looks safe. Behind it all was one person. Not a gang. Not a shadow network. Just one man. And what makes this story uncomfortable isn't just how much money disappeared, it's how normal everything looked before it did. By the end of this story, you won't just see how they lost their money. You'll recognize the kind of lie that doesn't look like a lie, the one you'd probably trust too. Before people trusted FTX, they trusted Sam. Sam Bankman-Fried didn't look like a billionaire at all. He looked like the kind of guy who forgets where he left his phone, shows up in a wrinkled t-shirt, messy hair, and shorts, even when he's sitting in rooms full of people wearing suits that cost more than cars. While other crypto CEOs were busy posting yachts and Lamborghinis, Sam became known for something much less glamorous: sleeping on a beanbag chair in his office in the Bahamas, sometimes on the floor, sometimes under his desk, because he said he only needed 4 hours of sleep and didn't really care about comfort. He also said he didn't really care about money, not because he hated it, but because, according to him, money was just a tool. The real goal was to make as much of it as possible so he could give most of it away. And that part wasn't fake. By 2021, he had already donated tens of millions of dollars to charity, funding pandemic relief, global health projects, and poverty programs, and he talked openly about something called effective altruism, which is basically a fancy way of saying, get rich first, then try to fix the world. So when people looked at Sam, they didn't see a power-hungry CEO. They saw someone who felt different. The kind of person your parents wouldn't worry about. The kind of person who doesn't trigger alarms in your head. And that matters, because when someone triggers alarms, you double-check everything. But when someone doesn't, you relax. And when you relax, you stop asking hard questions. Then came the spotlight. By 2021, FTX was valued at about $32 billion, and on many days more than $10 billion moved through it. That's not a startup anymore. That's a financial empire. They bought the naming rights to the Miami Heat Arena, ran ads during the Super Bowl, and put Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen on TV, telling millions of Americans that crypto and FTX was the future. Newspapers called Sam crypto's golden boy, and suddenly politicians, tech CEOs, and billionaires all wanted to be seen standing next to him. So think about the average person watching all this from home. If the Super Bowl trusts a guy, why wouldn't you trust your savings? If billionaires trust him, why wouldn't you trust your paycheck? And if celebrities and presidents are smiling next to him, who really wants to be the awkward one asking, "Hey, can I see your accounting system?" At some point, doubt starts to feel like overthinking, questions start to feel unnecessary, and trust becomes automatic. People didn't ask, "Is this too good to be true?" They asked, "How do I get in before everyone else?" That's how belief is born, not from spreadsheets or audits, but from faces, fame, and the feeling that so many smart people can't all be wrong. That feeling is warm, comforting, and extremely expensive, because once people believed in Sam, believed in the story, and believed in the image, the money followed quietly at first, and then in amounts so big that even Sam couldn't fully control where it went anymore. Once people trusted the story, money didn't walk in anymore. It showed up like it had somewhere urgent to be. Jake stood on a dusty street in Arizona, pointing at a small house with peeling paint. "That one I can fix," he told the agent. What he couldn't fix was the price. After work, he sat in his truck, wiped dust off his phone, and checked his savings. He hated banks. "They make money off my money and don't even say thank you," he used to say. FTX felt different, no lines, no suits, no lectures. Just an app that said, "You're in control." The first time he moved his house money there, he whispered, "Okay, don't mess this up." A week later, the number was still there. So he moved more. Maria worked 2 jobs in Florida. At night, her daughter's school papers sat on the kitchen table, grades, brochures, a letter that said, "Your future starts here." A coworker told her, "If you're gonna touch crypto, use FTX. That's the safe one." One night, sitting on her bed, Maria tapped "Confirm" and said quietly, "This is for you," then turned the phone face down like it might hear her. They weren't special. People were doing this everywhere, on couches, in cars, in break rooms, before sleep, not chasing yachts, chasing rent, weddings, tuition, retirement. Jake stopped calling it investing. He called it the house. Maria didn't say crypto. She said, "That's your college." FTX stopped feeling like a trading app. It felt like a bank for people who hated banks. And the numbers were exploding. By 2021 and 2022, around $10 to $13 billion moved through FTX every single day. At the same time, Sam's other company Alameda was quietly making about $1 million a day trading crypto. But nobody in line for coffee talked about Alameda. Nobody in Jake's truck asked where the money actually sat. Maria didn't care how it worked. She just wanted it there when she needed it. Jake checked his balance while waiting for coffee. The barista called his name twice. Maria refreshed her app during lunch, smiled when the number stayed the same, and went back to work. When the number looks fine, the brain relaxes. When the brain relaxes, questions feel annoying. And when questions feel annoying, they disappear. That's what safe really means. Money kept pouring in slow at first, then faster, then so fast that even the people running the place started losing track of what belonged to who. And nobody noticed what was slightly off, because nobody was looking, until the day they finally did. And the money wasn't where it was supposed to be. At that point, FTX didn't explode. It didn't crash in one big dramatic moment. It just started doing something very human. Borrowing a little, hiding a little, and hoping tomorrow would somehow fix today. Customer money slowly stopped being customer money. It became a bandage, a quick fix, a way to keep the engine running one more day. And while people were busy trying to keep the machine alive, some of that same money was quietly buying houses in the Bahamas. Beachfront, white walls, blue water. The kind of homes that make you think, yeah, this is what winning looks like. But those houses weren't built with crypto money. They were built with Jake's house money in Texas, with Maria's college money in Ohio, with rent money and grocery money that just happened to get dressed up as Ocean View real estate. And here's the part nobody likes to talk about. Some people felt something was wrong. Not from spreadsheets, from their gut. One trader noticed numbers that didn't quite make sense. One investor asked, "So, where is the money actually sitting?" A few employees whispered questions in hallways and private messages. But the answers always sounded calm. Too calm. "Don't worry. It's complicated. You wouldn't really understand the strategy. It's under control." They sounded like people who knew what they were doing. They sounded like people with a plan. And after a while, people started telling themselves, maybe I'm just overthinking it. Maybe someone smarter already checked. So everyone waited for someone else to speak up first. And while everyone waited, the hole just kept getting deeper. By mid-2022, the whole crypto world was already shaking. In May, Luna collapsed and erased about $60 billion in just a few days. And around the same time, the Fed kept raising interest rates, slowly killing the era of easy money that had made crypto feel like a magic machine. And when easy money dies, lies usually die with it. Big names started falling. 3 Arrows Capital, Voyager, Celsius, one after another, like dominoes that suddenly remembered gravity. People got nervous, and nervous people don't read white papers. They hit one button. Withdraw. When millions of people press the same button at the same time, you find out very quickly who was wearing real clothes and who was just pretending. Inside FTX, the money wasn't where it was supposed to be. Not all of it. Not enough of it. Customer money had been used to patch holes, to save Alameda, to buy time. And now time was gone. On November 11th, 2022, FTX filed for bankruptcy. Millions of accounts froze at the same time, and somewhere between $8 and $10 billion was officially gone. Jake saw the news on his phone in a parking lot in Texas. He had about $180,000 on FTX 5 years of saving for a small house outside Austin. He didn't shout or punch anything. He just sat in his car, staring at the steering wheel, and after a long silence he finally said, "So, I guess we're renting forever now." Maria had $42,000 on FTX, college money for her daughter in Ohio. Not a dream, but something already planned. Campus tours, dorm photos, a future with a shape. She waited 3 days before telling her daughter, and when she finally did, her daughter said, "It's okay, Mom, that hurt worse than if she had cried." While regular people were freezing, billionaires were backing away. Binance looked at FTX's books and walked fast. Even billionaires don't like buying mystery boxes full of debt. FTX collapsed in public, and then, as if the story needed one more punch, about $500 million vanished in a mysterious hack during the chaos. No alarms, no heroes, just more money quietly leaving the room. Inside the company, some employees later said something terrifyingly simple. They had just assumed the money was there, not confirmed, not checked, assumed. And that assumption cost billions. By the end of that week, FTX was dead. The empire, the ads, the arena name, the golden boy image. Jake went home and told his wife they weren't buying a house. Maria sat at a kitchen table and pretended to be strong. After that, nobody was arguing about crypto anymore. They were just asking one question. Where is my money? Some people didn't cry. They didn't post angry tweets. They just went quiet. And quiet is what losing everything sounds like. This is the moment every scam waits for, not when it's running, not when it's growing, but when everyone finally asks for their money back and finds out there's nothing behind the door. By now, it's easy to say Sam Bankman-Fried was the villain, but the truth is more uncomfortable than that. He wasn't just a person, he was a mask that looked like nice, sounded like safe, and promised something called the future. Messy hair, soft voice, big words about helping the world. He didn't sell fear, he sold comfort. And comfort is the most dangerous product in money. Because when something feels safe, you stop watching it closely. You don't ask where it sleeps at night. You don't ask who's really holding it. So, before this becomes a story about him, it has to become a story about you. Right now, do you know exactly where your money is? Not where the app says it is. Not where the logo says it is. But where it actually sits at this moment. Is it in a bank vault, in a trading account, or in someone else's system that you're just trusting? Or are you just hoping you know? Hope feels good. Hope is warm. Hope is what every collapse feeds on. Every big financial disaster has the same 3 warning signs. First, nobody can explain clearly where the money is. Not in plain language, not without buzzwords, not without you wouldn't understand. Second, the leader looks too good, too kind, too clean. Like someone you'd trust with your phone, your dog, your life. And when someone looks that harmless, you stop checking their hands. Third, everyone around you believes. Your friends, your feed, the news. At some point, doubt starts to feel awkward, like you're the only one at the party asking where the exits are. Those 3 things, unclear money, perfect leaders, loud crowds, have buried more people than bad math ever did. Turns out trust me is not a financial strategy. After FTX, Governments all over the world rushed to rewrite crypto laws, not because they suddenly loved regulation, but because too many regular people got hurt. And in court, Sam may face more than 100 years in prison, but no sentence gives Jake his house back. No verdict gives Maria her daughter's college fund back. The scariest part is that none of those warning signs look dangerous when they show up. They look like opportunity. They look like progress. They look like the future, just like FTX did. Somewhere right now, someone is opening an app. They see a number, it looks fine. They tap a button, and nothing happens. No fire. No alarms. No villains in black hoodies. Just a screen that still shows a balance that no longer means anything. Some people won't talk about what they lost. Not because they're over it, but because they don't know how to explain it. The scariest part isn't that things collapse. Collapses are loud. You can hear them coming. The scariest part is what comes before that. When everything looks normal. When everything feels safe. When nobody is worried yet. Because the next disaster won't look like danger. It will look like something you'd trust.